taken steroids, have
Never. Never. Never.
Me neither.
You're lying.
No, I haven't. I would tell you if I did.
I actually, you know what? My best friend, who was my head trainer back in 2010, he was dealing with some, steroid issues, testosterone issues over a few years, and he was my head trainer at Drive, and I came home from Las Vegas. I flew in on a red eye on Sunday night. And
what were you doing in Vegas?
I think I was visiting my...
Don't just breeze through the story.
No, I was visiting my girlfriend at the time, who's my wife now.
What was she doing there?
Working.
Okay.
Not on the pole or anything. I
didn't say it.
She was in school, and
that's what I thought.
Okay. Watch it, Zach.
That's what I thought. I met your wife. Very nice, very smart.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
She's amazing, awesome
think so.
lady.
I think
cool.
so. Thank you. So, but getting back to it, so I landed, and I think our flight was really delayed. I probably landed at like 2. It wasn't a red eye. It was like the latest flight, but we got delayed, and then we didn't leave till late at night. And I don't know what time we got back, but I remember going back to my apartment and sleeping for getting into bed for 15 minutes, and I got a call saying Tommy didn't report to work. Tommy was always at work. All he did was train. He didn't have any family in the States. He was German. And I ran up, so I got...
Thick accent?
What's that?
Thick accent?
Thick accent, shredded. But and this is important because I want a lot of the younger kids to think about what happened here. I get out of bed, I jump on the one train. I'm living on Rector Street. One train's right underneath the building. I shoot up to 23rd Street. He was right on 23rd Street. I'm literally get off the train. I look, there's fire trucks outside his room, and I run to his apartment, and he's dead in bed. He's literally dead in bed 3 days. They said he died. His estimated death was probably Friday night. We found him Monday morning. But the point of the matter was...
Were other people there? Or were you, did you found him?
Oh, yeah. One of my front desk, one of the people working for me, this guy David at my front desk, I sent up. I was like, all right, I'm heading up there now. I'll meet you up there. He was wherever he was. I think he was going to work, but he was on the train. We were worried about him. So I run up to his apartment, and he's dead in bed. And then they pull him out, and they bring him down, and then we had to get rights to his body because he didn't have any family. But I was, on his lease, and I was on his cell phone thing, and I had to co-sign for a whole bunch of stuff. So finally, we had to claim rights to his body. I think I finally was able to go and identify his body 2.5 weeks after this happened. So to see the process of him in the morgue and what the human body looks like was one of the most terrible things I've ever seen. And then
is it? And I'm not trying to be a dick here, but
his body's green as you turn as green as that plaque that you have up there. So he literally was.
Okay, that's not. I don't want to disrupt the story, but that is not a plaque. That is a trophy from Nickelodeon Guts, and it's something I bought online. I did not win it, but okay.
It's a piece of shit. Okay.
You're clearly not familiar with the competition show.
The fact you even paid money for that is questioning our friendship
styrofoam.
and my
Styrofoam.
How much you pay for that? You just dented it.
I know.
I hope you didn't pay more than $2 for it.
It was more than that. I could have made it myself. I thought it was made of plastic.
What a waste of money. That just dented, by the way. So you're nice. Good job. But getting back to something serious, okay, because you just ruined the story now. We claimed his body, and then we hosted a little service, and then we were able to bury him. So we had to buy a plot, and we had to go through the entire process. So I didn't realize they were going to bury him in Plotter's Field, which is where they put all the unknowns. So we had to do a lot of work on that. But what happened was we had everything. We had him autopsied. We autopsied. I looked at his testosterone levels, and my test, I remember I just got blood work done because we started working with this new functional medicine doctor, and he wanted to see my blood. So I think my test levels were 790, which is good. I don't even remember what my free testosterone was, but I think my total level was 790, which they say don't even matter anymore. But Tommy's was north of 3,000. And what happened was when I went to his apartment and I had to go in with the detectives, and they let me take some stuff. We found a lot of syringes, we found a lot of stuff. And it wasn't like Tommy was competing in a bodybuilding contest. What happened was he was exposed to these drugs at a younger age. He became very educated on it, but by that time, his body shut down already. So when you're injecting yourself with testosterone, your body then starts saying, I don't need to produce testosterone, right? And I'm not a scientist with this stuff, but that's basically what happened. So anytime he'd get off testosterone, I would find him sitting in the back, white as a ghost. I mean, he'd come into me sometimes, he'd say, I was with this woman last night, I was having sex with her literally 3 hours in, and I couldn't, I couldn't finish up. She thought he was a machine. He was such a psycho. He was getting off for an hour and a half in, drinking a protein shake, and then walking back and finishing up. But he literally was white as a ghost, no energy level, and you become so dependent on this stuff. So when I hear young kids who are 18, 19, 20, listen, if you're a 70, 80-year-old man that wants to experiment with testosterone replacement, hormone replacement therapy, HRT. I have guys reaching me out to me like, do you want a free HRT session with me? I'm like, no, I don't want a free HRT session with you because I don't need it, because I don't want to fall down that rabbit hole and start depending on this stuff.
Yeah.
And then I don't want to have to get off this stuff and see that my body can't keep up with that level of how I felt and that level of performance. It scares me. So my message to everyone out there is, start exhausting. Like, you got to put years in. Like, you start looking at these bodybuilders on stage. This isn't the result of a year or two of training. This is a result of decades of training. These professional athletes, these NFL players, that's decades of sprinting and running with a football and lifting weights and becoming strong and eating food. And just, I think people are they're uneducated with this stuff. They're like, oh, I want to quick, I'm going to dive into steroids. You haven't, I would tell, like, if someone came up to me, they're like, I'm going to die in 3 years, like, I have a disease, I want to take steroids right now. I would first say, well, you don't know what the steroids are going to do to the disease you have, but, if you're looking to do it, like, your training age has been, this is a stupid example, but your training age is already 40 years, so it's better. If someone's coming to me like, my training age is like a year, I'm like, what's the point? Like, you're not going to respond to it in the same fashion.
So,
bad example, but you get what I'm saying.
I do. There's a couple things I want to go over. One is that, so he was able to maintain an erection, but he just couldn't finish.
Yeah.
Okay, and
He couldn't have an orgasm.
Did you know that he was on these substances, or was he open about it?
He was open with me about it because I went with him for the blood. So we had this doctor, and we both did bloods, and I looked at it, and I was like, and he was talking to me about a year out. He was like, I need some help here. I reached out to Dr. Gary Wadler, who was at my wedding. God rest his soul. He passed away a few years ago. But Dr. Gary Wadler was considered the steroid doctor. He was 100% against it. He was the guy who was up on the congressional hearing. The Supreme Court hearing for all the major league athletes. Rafael Palmeiro, Mark McGuire, Sammy Sosa. Conseco, when they had all these guys up on the panel, there was a panel of doctors, and Wadler was the head doctor. So Wadler was just his opinion on it, because I always would ask him, and in his voice, he'd be like, Saladino, you're not taking anything, right? I'm like, no, I'm not taking anything. He's like, good, because I'm going to be able to tell if you're taking it, because he was my family practitioner.
Right.
But anytime I'm like, well, what about a guy doing this or a guy doing that? He's like, we do not know what it does or how it will respond in the human body. Every individual is different, and you have some cancerous cell in your body, and you put a growth hormone in there, you put testosterone in there, and your body doesn't know how to respond, then what the hell? And then what I love is when you get all these like so-called like bodybuilding experts, and they come on, they're like, you need it, and this and that, and they're talking about, like, you talk this way until someone gets really sick, or you see someone battle with this, and then you tell me if you're so open and free to it, or you're listening to guys like Christian Thibodeau, who's very smart strength coach on T Nation, but I heard years ago he got sick, yet he's writing books called Jekyll and Hyde, talking about steroid use. So it's it's obvious some of these guys are taking this shit,
right?
But then they suddenly catch a parasite. Like, give me a break. Like, what did you live in Indonesia for 5 years? You come back with a parasite, you're sick, you lose 40 pounds, you can't train, your joints, like, something's going on here. You're putting something in your body that you have not been able to monitor. Something slipped into your body that you do not know. You had a response to something that you are not educated on yet. Like, just own it.
So what was the cause of death?
It's heart attack. I'm sorry, it wasn't a heart attack. It was heart failure.
Heart failure.
Heart failure.
And
now, he had a heart attack years earlier.
That's what I was going to ask.
So he died at 42. Wow. 42 years old. He had a triple bypass surgery at 37. So I was up in Vermont, and I'm 41 now. He'd be 50. He was roughly 10, 11 years older than me. So when he was 37, I was like 26. I just started dating my wife now. And I remember I was in Vermont, and he called me up, and he's like, I'm in the hospital. I just had heart surgery.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, it was like days later. I talked to him like, I'm coming home.
Yeah.
And I got in the car with my wife, and I don't remember, we had Amelia at the time. And I remember shooting home and going to the hospital and seeing him and being like, oh my God, like. And then for a period of time he got off it, but he felt so awful.
Right.
Months after that, he just got back on it. You know, this is different. Remember, you're adding that vanity component. I'm not saying like cocaine, heroin. Like I understand you have a feeling there's an addiction, but when people get on these drugs, when you're used to feeling and responding a certain way and performing a certain way, and you get off of it, and suddenly like you can't get a hard in anymore, or you can get a hard on but it ain't working right, or you can't sleep at night because your heart's racing, or you know you're sitting there all day and you feel like shit. Like, come on, man. Like that's a serious problem.
But there's also a look component to that too.
Oh yeah, vanity. Well, I said the vanity component's huge.
Sorry.
Or maybe I did say that. I thought I said that, but if I didn't, I apologize.
So, you know, if there's a guy that I know that's he's got 2 kids, so but his testosterone plummeted, right?
Right.
He started doing TRT, and it was enough to just get his testosterone levels back to normal, and he feels much better. Granted, he's got to keep going. I know, but he's got to keep going. He knows he's got to keep going because they'll just go back to baseline. But you know, it's something that he's real grateful for, because man, he was just feeling like shit, tired. He's losing muscle. It just wasn't. Just everything was feeling worse, and it seems like it's just. I mean, what are the drawbacks when you're in that situation?
Well, first off, I want to take a step back and say, what did he do to exhaust everything else? Because I do believe that there are people out there that need hormone replacement therapy. There are cases where I'm not a doctor, and I'm not going to argue with a doctor, but I'm sure there are cases out there where it is absolutely absolute necessity.
Yeah.
My question is this: if you're someone who has been abusing alcohol, dabbling with drugs, sleeping 4 hours a night in a high stress environment for years, poor nutrition, poor air quality, toxic people around you, and these are, by the way, very, very common. So anyone listening to this right now is going to say, all right, I'm exposed to a couple of those, and you're exposed to it for years, you will see hormone levels begin to drop, and they will work in a negative they will go in a negative direction. So my question is have you worked on improving those? Or are you just immediately saying, oh, well, I'm unhealthy? Because that's basically what it's telling me. You're an unhealthy person. If you have those variables are going on in your life, those factors, you are an unhealthy person. We need to get to the root of the problem and fix that. And I think when you fix that, or you start to improve that, and you start checking bloods every 6 months, and if you can see an upward tick and things start to improve, then I would almost argue whether you need it or not. You're improving it on your own. But when people are jumping right into it, it's like it reminds me of the kid who has no training experience. It's like, I'm going to go to steroids. You haven't put your time in yet.
Yeah.
Put your time in. Like someone, I mean, you know, it'd be like almost more of an understandable candidate for someone to get into steroids would be me. Like, I've never done it. I'm 41. I could see like someone who's got my training experience, they know their body. I think they would see benefits off it. It still scares the crap out of me because what's that going to do to me in 10 years? So what now? I'm 51. I've been on steroids or testosterone for 10 years. What's that going to start doing to my body? How's my body going to respond on its own now?
Right. Well, I think that's people that think about those types of things and think about longevity and think about what the consequences are. It leads them not to do those types of things.